In this video we're going to start creating the introduction to our Mars Lander composite movie. We'll start out with the first two scenes. The first one is comprised of a close-up of Mars down towards the bottom of the screen, followed by the full planet and then the silhouette of our lander passing through. To start, I'll import the video of the Mars planet and the background, which is named stars_nova.png, and I'll drag the planet Mars to the comp window or timeline to define the composition size. The first thing I'd like to do is edit out the green screen that we had added inside of Maya. With the clip selected, I'll go to Effects and I'll go to Keying, Key Light 1.2. And if I were to go to my Effects window, which can be accessed under Window, Effects Controls, or usually it shows up here in the left-hand corner. Next to Screen Color, I'll get the eyedropper, click on the green. I'm going to zoom in a bit. I had left a little bit of a capture of a menu in Maya, and I have to get rid of that as well. I'll be using a masking function. Again, with the clip selected, I'll go up to the top of my toolbar, and if I were to hit Q on the keyboard, it gives me these combination masking and Bezier shape functions inside of After Effects, right to the left of the pen nib. Making sure that my clip is selected, I can now click and drag kind of a broad selection around that. When we first initiate it, the object that we choose to mask remains visible. We need to go down to the channel box, and next to the word mask you'll see add, and then you'll see the term inverted. Click in the check box to the left of the word inverted, and now you can see that we have just the planet visible. Now I'm going to go back to my project window, and I'll drag the star pattern into my composition, and then down in the channel box I'll click on the icon next to the name star_nova, and with my left mouse drag it down below the planet Mars. And now we have our background. I'd like to put a bit of an outer glow on my planet shape, so I'll select the layer with the Mars spinning planet, and I'll go to Effect, Stylize, and then Glow. Now it's a little bit different than in Photoshop. It puts the glow on the object instead of the outer edge of the object. In the Effects channel, I'll first collapse the key light to minimize the confusion and space being used in the effects window. And then I'll change the glow based on from color channels to alpha. And you'll see now the glow is pretty much on the outside edge of the planet. I'll make one other adjustment by going down to glow operation. And right now it's set for add by default. I'll click and I'll choose normal. Now the glow is truly on the outside edge of our object. I'll start by changing the color, and I'll use the color picker for both of these black and white color pickers to select a color that exists in my file. And now if I go back up towards the top, I can increase the radius, so I'll click and drag and make that a little bit larger, and I'll probably make it 25. And now we've got a bit of a glow, and it also helps tie it into the background image as well. Now we need this planet to rotate 2 revolutions. Our animations in Maya of our lander are twice as long as this happens to be. With the clip selected in the timeline, I'll right click and I'll choose Reveal and reveal Layer Source in Project. And in the project window now, I'll right click on the planet movie and I'll choose Interpret Footage Main, and down at the bottom I'll put in 3 loops. Now it won't show up right away because we have to add more time. Right now it's set for approximately 5 seconds. I'm going to go to Composition, Composition Settings, or Command K, and we're going to be able to go here now, and down where it says Duration I'll change the time. I'm going to put in 1500 for 15 seconds. That's more than we'll need for the length of this. And then if I click on my timeline again and hit minus on the keyboard, it will show me the additions we have. You'll also see a bit of a skin that shows us that we've added more than 1 revolution. I'll just click and drag this for the duration for the 15 seconds, and I'll do the same for the star nova file as well. So now if I were to play through my timeline, I have the planet and the stars. Now we're going to be making 2 scenes here. The second scene is where the silhouetted ship flies through. So we're going to create that one first. Going to my project window, I'll go to File Import or hit Command-I, File, and we're going to select the lander that is by itself in a side view. With it selected, I'll open, and I'll grab that and drag it to my comp window. Once again, I'm going to need the key light 1.2 to drop out the green. With the lander selected, I'll go to Effect, Keying, Key light 1.2, click on the eyedropper, and click on the green. Now I'm going to need this to be silhouetted, and I want it to come from the left, go across the planet, and exit the screen on the right. I'll hit S for scale, and I'll unlock the aspect ratio for height and width, and I'm going to put a minus sign in front of the first number 100, and when I hit return, it flips it over, and I'll lock it down again. Now we want a silhouette of this. We don't need the actual model. With the clip selected, I'll go back to Effects, and I'll go to Perspective, Drop Shadow. In the Effects channel, you'll see that there is the option for Shadow Only. I'll click on it, and I'll see just a silhouette of the lander. The opacity by default is always set to 50%. I'm going to make that 100. Now I'm going to scale it down by hitting S on the keyboard, making sure that I've locked my aspect ratio again now. I'll start to make this smaller, and it's going to start off screen. I'll put my playback head at the beginning of the timeline, and now I'll hit P for position. With my playback head at the beginning of the timeline and the lander off screen on the left, I'll drop the first keyframe by clicking in the stopwatch next to the word position. Now I'm going to put my playback head at the end of the selected lander clip. It's a little easier to do so if when you have it selected you hit O on the keyboard and it puts it precisely at the end. I'll hit Command minus with the comp window selected to zoom back a bit so that I can now grab the lander and pull it across the screen and off the right hand side. If you drag it up and down a little bit, you'll see you get this little bead which allows you to introduce a Bezier kind of a curve to this. So I'll click and drag it so that I have a bit of an arc here. And now if I were to drag through or play, we have something like that. I want to generate that final MP4. With the lander clip selected, because that will define the length of the clip, I'll once again hit O on the keyboard. Now I'd like the little work area, which is this gray bar flanked on either end by that vertical blue rectangle. I would like the end of it to be right against that playback head. And when you click with your left mouse, you can see you can adjust where you want that to be. But if I wanted to be precise where the end of the clip is, I could now hit N on the keyboard and it adjusts that for me. The other option would be to hold the Shift key and snap it to the location of the playback head and the end of the clip. We'll now go to File, Export, Add to Media Encoder. In Media Encoder, we'll see our composition's been added to the queue in the upper right hand corner. I'll click on H.264 in the blue to build a preview. Once I see my preview, I'll turn off the audio, and where it says Output Name, I'll click on Mars Spin Final, and I'll rename it. I'll click OK in the lower right hand corner, and then in the upper right hand corner of the queue you'll see a green triangle. When I click on that, it will generate our MP4.